The wind whipped across the battlefield, carrying the smell of blood and burnt earth. Canthro stood at the center, his blackened robes billowing around him. His face, twisted with rage, glistened with the remnants of the magic he'd consumed. He was the last of his coven, and his power unmatched by any of the dark warlocks who had once stood by his side. Thousands of bodies lay scattered across the field, their lifeless forms a testament to the battle's ferocity. The sky above churned with unclaimed magic, shimmering clouds of energy drifting like restless spirits. Canthro's eyes gleamed as he held his blade to Edric's throat, his voice a low growl as he began a chant, a spell designed to claim the loose magic, to make it his. Edric, bound and kneeling, trembled beneath the weight of the spell. A devoted soldier of the Edra coven, he had fought valiantly alongside the sisters when all others had fallen. Now he was powerless, a pawn caught between the forces of good and evil, and his breath came in shallow gasps as Canthro's grip tightened. Above the chaos, on a rise overlooking the battlefield, stood Alzra, Amabel, and Flori, the Edra sisters. Their expressions were grave, their eyes reflecting both the storm overhead and the grim reality of the task before them. They were the most powerful witches of their bloodline, bound together by blood and magic. Alzra stepped forward, her face hardened with resolve. We cannot allow this magic to fall into his hands. If Canthro absorbs that power, the world will fall to him. Amabel nodded, her eyes scanning the destruction below. There's no one left to stop him but us. We seal the magic now, or we lose everything. But Flori's gaze lingered on Edric, her heart torn. She knew it had to be done, but her love for Edric consumed her mind. What about Edric? She whispered, her voice trembling. If we act now, we'll seal one of our own in with that monster. There's no time for second thoughts. Alzra snapped, her voice sharper than the wind. This is a necessity of time. We must protect the world from Canthro's dark influence, even if it means sacrificing Edric. The sisters raised their hands to the sky, calling upon the storm as the winds howled in answer. Lightning crackled overhead, striking down at them in blinding flashes, but the energy coursed through their bodies, absorbed by their magic. The storm was their ally, a conduit for the immense power they were about to unleash. Flori's eyes locked with Edric's in that brief moment of calm before the spell was cast. His face was pale, his body trembling, but her gaze held only compassion. I'm sorry, she mouthed, the words stolen by the wind before they could reach him. She knew what had to be done, but the weight of it still tore at her heart. With a united cry, the sisters turned their hands toward Canthro and Edric, the energy they had gathered converging into a single beam of light. It shot across the battlefield, engulfing Canthro and Edric in its blinding glow. The earth beneath them split open, swallowing them whole as the wild magic was pulled in with them, sucked into the depths of the earth like water draining from a shattered vessel. In an instant, the battlefield was silent. The sisters collapsed to the ground, their bodies spent from the immense effort. The storm above them began to fade, the winds calming as the last remnants of loose magic disappeared into the earth. For a moment, all was still. Amabel lay on her back, staring up at the now clear sky. It's done, she murmured, her voice weak. We deserve peace now. Alzra sat up slowly, her eyes narrowing as she stared at the spot where Canthro and Edric had vanished. Not yet. We must bind our powers permanently. The magic has been sealed, but we cannot risk it ever being released again. Amabel nodded in agreement, but Flori hesitated, her thoughts lingering on what had just transpired. And what of the future? She asked quietly. What if the world needs our power again? What if one day, our descendants face a threat we cannot foresee? Alzra's eyes darkened, her expression turning thoughtful. Then we attach a prophecy to the binding. A failsafe that will ensure our magic can be called upon only in the direst of circumstances. The sisters gathered their strength, forming a small circle as they prepared for the final spell. Their voices, though weak, joined together in a melodic incantation that flowed like a river of power. The earth trembled beneath their feet as they wove their magic together one last time. By the blood we share and the power we hold, we bind our gifts until time unfolds. No mortal hands shall break this seal, no selfish heart our power feel. Locked away, our strength shall lie, until the stars align in the sky. Only when a daughter is born the name of three, will our magic be set free. Named for the sisters who lived and died, her coming shall break the ties that bind. As the final words of the spell faded into the wind, the sisters felt the magic slip from their veins, retreating deep within the earth where it would remain hidden for generations to come. Exhausted but resolute, they knew their power was safe, locked away until the day the prophecy would be fulfilled. And so the legend began, passed down from one generation to the next, its words reduced to a simple nursery rhyme. Three sisters witches lived and died, their powers locked and tied. Not till a girl is born and named for three, will the sisters' magic be released to thee. The war roared within the tomb, a timeless clash of light and darkness that resonated through the ancient stone walls. Edric lingered on the edge of the chaos, a spirit bound by the magic that surged around him. Ethereal tendrils of energy twisted and turned, clashing with a ferocity that echoed the hearts of those who had fought for supremacy. The magic of the Edra Coven, bright and pure, swirled against the shadowy remnants of Canthro's dark influence, both sides battling for dominance over the unembodied power that hung like a shroud in the air. For decades, the two magics fought, vibrant colors flickering against the oppressive shadows. Edric felt the weight of this struggle, each pulse of energy a reminder of the stakes at play. Slowly but surely, the Edra magic began to envelop and transform the darkness, purging it of its malevolence. It was a relentless tide of light, consuming Canthro's evil and weaving it into a tapestry of good. The very air thrummed with the thrill of victory as the Edra magic prevailed, sealing the darkness away and turning it into something new. But in the midst of this triumph, Edric felt a chill crawl down his spine. The energy in the tomb shifted, drawn toward Canthro's spirit, the last vestige of malevolence that remained. Edric couldn't bear to witness the moment when the darkness converged upon Canthro, no longer a threat but a memory now bound to the victorious light. Turning away, he closed his eyes, denying himself the sight of what was to come. When he finally gathered the strength to look back, Canthro was gone, swallowed by the newfound peace that enveloped the tomb. The magic pulsed softly around him, no longer battling against itself but humming with a harmony that felt almost sacred. But within Edric, something dark and bitter began to take root. Years passed, and the ache of betrayal gnawed at him. Once he had been a part of the Edra clan, a soldier who believed in the strength of unity and love, a force for good who had fought alongside the sisters until the end. But now, he felt abandoned, forsaken by those he had trusted most. They had turned against him, banishing him to this eternal prison while sealing away all that had once been his. The betrayal stung like a fresh wound. Edric had loved the sisters, had stood loyal and true, and had fought with them against Canthro's evil. Yet, their decision to cast him aside felt like a dagger in his heart, twisted by the years of isolation. He had done nothing wrong. He had upheld his vow, but now he was condemned to a fate far worse than death, an eternity of solitude, haunted by memories of loyalty and the bitter taste of betrayal. 400 years later, the late afternoon sun dipped behind the clouds, casting a soft, golden glow through Saritha's modest home. The air inside was heavy with lavender, a vain attempt to ease the tension between the sisters. Sophia sat on the edge of the worn chair, her fingers tracing the armrest, waiting. Saritha, pale and drawn, rubbed her swollen belly absently. After a long silence, she spoke. "Sophia, before you say anything, let me finish," Saritha said, her voice trembling. "I know you'll have questions, but please, just listen." Sophia's heart sank. "I'm sick," Saritha continued, eyes clouded with sadness. "If I carry this baby to term, I won't survive." The words hit Sophia like a blow. She wanted to protest, but Saritha pressed on. "I have uterine cancer. They can't treat it while I'm pregnant. I have two options: save myself and end the pregnancy, or carry her and—" Saritha's voice faltered, but she steadied herself. "I've decided. I'm carrying her." The room grew still, heavy with the weight of her decision. Sophia blinked back tears, her throat tight. "But," Sophia started, only for Saritha to raise a hand, stopping her. "I know what you're going to say," Saritha whispered. "You take her, raise her as your own. You've always been my rock. But I don't want that for her. I don't want her to live our life." Sophia frowned. "What do you mean?" "A life tangled in magic," Saritha said, her hand resting over her belly. "I want her to have a chance at something different. I can feel her power growing every day. She's the one, Sophia. She holds the sister's power." Sophia's voice cracked. "Isn't that all the more reason for me to raise her? How is a mundane family supposed to help her understand what she is?" Saritha shook her head, her sorrow deep. "They won't. That's why we're going to bind her magic, just as the sisters did. She'll grow up in peace, unaware of her power." Sophia's heart ached. "And I'm just supposed to watch from a distance? What if the binding breaks? What if it destroys her?" Saritha's gaze didn't waver. "That's why you'll be nearby. If anything happens, you'll be there. But promise me you won't interfere unless you have to. She needs a life free from this." Tears spilled from Sophia's eyes. "I don't know if I can do that. I can't just stand by and watch." Saritha's voice cracked. "I know. But it's the only way to keep her safe." Silence hung between them until Sophia whispered, "I promise." They stood, embracing tightly, knowing this might be their last moment of closeness. Saritha whispered, "Don't let her forget love, even if she never knows where it comes from." Sophia held her sister tighter, silently vowing to protect the child, no matter the cost. As they pulled away, Saritha placed a gentle hand on Sophia's cheek. "You'll make sure she knows she's loved. That's the most important thing." "I will," Sophia promised, her voice breaking. And with that, the air shifted, a sudden gust sweeping through the room as the sun dipped below the horizon. Shadows deepened around them, the whispers of fate weaving through the space as they faced an uncertain future. Outside, the world continued, oblivious to the monumental choice made within these walls. But inside, the weight of destiny hung heavy, a choice that would echo through the ages, binding their fates together in ways they could not yet comprehend. As night fell, the sisters held on to each other a moment longer, knowing that love was their most potent magic, even as the shadows of their past loomed ever closer.